Devon always claimed he wasn't lonely, just strategically under-socialized. It was the sort of excuse a man gave while eating reheated nutrient cubes in a maintenance shack on the edge of a forgotten moon. Nights on Outpost H-17 were long, metallic, and smelled faintly of ozone and guilt. Mostly guilt, because Devon always promised he would fix the outpost's failing turbines, yet hours slipped by as he tinkered with his encrypted communication network instead. He didn't install it for work, he installed it for company. Someone, anyone, to talk to across the void. The first time the console blinked with an incoming message, Devon almost spilled his drink on the wiring. The name on the screen was CalIRA. Just letters on a glowing panel, but the effect was immediate. Gravity shifted, as if the universe had quietly altered its rules. Their conversation began with simple exchanges. Small jokes, questions about life, quiet musings that stretched into hours. Kerr never showed her face. She never turned on video. And yet, her words carried warmth that made the metal walls of H-17 feel like home. She spoke of her differences and obligations, which Devon assumed meant a demanding job, or perhaps a very strict landlord. He joked about her being a disgraced asteroid pirate. She laughed, and Devon imagined someone shyly covering her mouth. He never imagined her long, elegant ears flicking with amusement. But imagination had its limits. Mostly, it maxed out thinking about pasta. One night, months later, her message came, "If you still wish to meet me, come to these coordinates." Devon froze. The numbers pointed to Sarah's moon, a place only familiar from dusty star maps and one overly dramatic travel brochure that promised unforgettable views, which often meant lava. Still, he packed quickly, grabbed his least wrinkled jacket, and left a note for his supervisor about taking personal leave for a possible interstellar romantic entanglement. The supervisor didn't ask questions. Rare wisdom. As his small shuttle rattled out of orbit, complaining in all the places Devon had neglected to repair, he imagined what Kerr might look like. Maybe her hair was in a messy bun. Maybe she wore glasses. Maybe she mocked his inability to cook anything requiring more than one glowing button. His chest tightened in a nervous, fluttering way, rehearsing greetings, formal, casual, mysterious, and discarding them all as ridiculous. Sarah's moon rose on the horizon, pale clouds glowing with a soft inner light. Devon's shuttle dipped into the atmosphere. The hull shivered as though warning him, this was no ordinary meeting. He ignored the warning, optimism blinding his better judgment. He activated the landing sequence. Expecting solitude, he instead found himself surrounded by sleek silver vessels, sensors screaming. Royal Guard ships. Very large ones. Devon swallowed hard, signaling compliance, though he considered waving a white flag. His shuttle was locked into an escort pattern toward a floating palace, suspended above swirling clouds. Moonlight reflected from the structure, polished as if carved from liquid starlight. Devon muttered, "Okay, this is not a cottage." Docking brought him to tall armored guards. One scanned him with a device that beeped Judgment Ally. Another inquired about his attire. Devon nodded, wondering if palace visitors were supposed to wear capes. He was led through corridors of statues and holographic tapestries, spaces impossibly grand, yet familiar through the quiet human wonder of it all. At last, massive doors slid open. A balcony revealed a sky shifting in colors, lavender, silver, turquoise. A slender figure stood framed by the light, her long black hair flowing. When she turned, Devon saw her for the first time. Soft features, luminous eyes, and long ears curving upward like sculpted moonlight. A queen's crown rested lightly upon her head. Devon's heart slammed against his ribs in panic and awe. Kerr smiled, hesitant but hopeful, as though fearing he might run. He didn't. He merely stared. The woman he had confided in for months, the one who laughed at his quantum sock jokes and listened to his midnight complaints, was royalty. A queen. And somehow, impossibly, she had chosen him. He tried to speak, but the only word that escaped was, "Hi." Kalira's smile, gentle and grounding, almost steadied him. She beckoned him forward. "Come. There is much I wish to show you." And several officials awaited, eager to meet the mysterious human occupying her evenings. Devon froze. Advisors, ministers, robed individuals who hadn't smiled since the galaxy cooled. Precisely them, Calais said, amused. They entered a hall shimmering with floating glyphs. Architecture woven from starlight, reinforced by alloys that whispered softly. Servants bowed. One whispered, his shorter than expected, but Devon ignored it. Dignity had already left the building. Calais slowed her stride. I should have told you sooner, she said softly. Devon shrugged. If someone said they were a queen right away, I would have assumed they were selling me something. Her ears twitched in amusement. And what would that be? A lifetime subscription to Royal Chaos, he muttered. She laughed, a light, musical sound that danced through the corridor. In a vast circular chamber, 3 advisors awaited, statues of patience. One approached. Your Majesty, we welcome your guest. His gaze slid to Devon's boots. Civilian boots. Devon admitted, great for not dying in industrial accidents. The advisor hesitated, unsure if this was humor or confession. Calais intervened. He is here by my invitation. Treat him with my courtesy. The advisors bowed immediately. Devon tried to bow too, nearly toppling onto a pedestal. Calais led him to a smaller observatory with transparent walls revealing swirling cloud oceans below. This dominion weighs heavily, she admitted. I feared you would see only the crown, not me. Devon smiled. I see you. They shared a quiet moment, suspended in trust. Dinner followed, an exercise in bewildering cuisine and intense observation. Every dish appeared sculpted by someone with a grudge against physics. Devon whispered questions. Is this glowing? If it moves again, I'm screaming. Kalira's laughter echoed, pure and bright. Later, they walked to a high terrace, wind tugging at Kalira's hair. I feared you would flee, she said softly. Devon exhaled. I almost fainted, if that counts. She admitted it did. But he stayed. I know who you are now, Devon said gently. Calais wasn't a queen to me. Just someone brilliant, stubborn, funny, mysterious. The crown doesn't erase that. Her ears dipped slightly, emotion visible now. You have no idea how desperately I needed someone who spoke to me like that, she whispered. The throne demands perfection. You never did. Perfection was never an option, he said. You've seen me interact with chairs. She laughed, a bright sound swallowed by the wind. Her tone grew serious. Now that you know me, will you remain in my life? Devon felt the weight of her question, clarity pressing on him. He wasn't the same man who had left the outpost. I want to stay, he said. Because of you, the you who argued about nebulae moods, complained at midnight, hid your identity but not your heart. Calais stared, stunned at his certainty. If you stay, your life will change. The people will question you. My advisors will scrutinize you. I know, he replied. But I want to see who I become here. She stepped closer, took his hands. Warm. Steady. Then stay, she whispered. Let us build something neither the throne nor the stars can dictate. Devon squeezed her hands. Promise me one thing. No more glowing food. She laughed freely. Below, the palace lights shimmered like anchored constellations. Above, the sky stretched endlessly, a path neither feared. Queen and colonist, ruler and wanderer. 2 lives collided in the dark and found something worth keeping. Devon finally felt at home. Not in a place, but in a connection that spanned more than distance. And as the winds of Sara's moon wrapped around them, Devon realized that sometimes, the universe didn't need to shout to change a life. Sometimes, it only needed 2 people brave enough to meet in the middle of the unknown. The night on Sara's moon was alive with faint luminescence, the clouds below swirling like liquid light. Devon woke in a room that felt impossibly large for a single occupant. Soft glowing panels embedded in the walls casting a pale, calming light. He had expected a guest room, functional, perhaps uncomfortable. Instead, the space was a blend of elegance and curiosity, with floating shelves holding miniature models of distant star systems, holographic projections of nebulae drifting lazily in the corners, and a small desk cluttered with devices he didn't recognize. He sat up, rubbing his eyes, and tried to process the last 24 hours. From receiving a mysterious message in his lonely outpost, to traveling across the galaxy, to meeting Calais, the queen whose existence he had only glimpsed through text, everything had been surreal. And yet, it had felt oddly natural. Like gravity had finally agreed to pull him in the right direction. A soft chime echoed through the room. Devon jumped. A message appeared on the wall's holographic display. "Breakfast is prepared. Shall we meet in the dining hall?" He hesitated, glancing at the clock. A human would normally be groggy, reluctant. Devon, however, felt something else: anticipation. Pulling on simple clothes he found folded neatly on a chair, he descended the spiral staircase that seemed to float mid-air. The palace corridors were quiet, the ambient hum of energy flowing through the architecture like the heartbeat of the building itself. Servants moved silently, their eyes widening as he passed. He offered a small nod. They nodded back with barely concealed curiosity. Calais was waiting in the dining hall, her posture regal yet relaxed. She wore a simple tunic, contrasting sharply with the elaborate crowns and robes she usually adorned. Her long ears flicked gently as she smiled. "Good morning, Devon. Sleep well?" "Surprisingly," he admitted. "Though I may dream of glowing food again." She laughed, the sound echoing softly. "I will make sure the kitchen avoids anything that wriggles today." The table was set simply compared to dinner. Plates of steaming nutrient blends, but each carefully arranged, aromatic, and surprisingly appetizing. Devon hesitated before taking a bite, realizing that even something so mundane here carried an air of ceremony. Claire watched him closely, amusement in her eyes. "You'll adapt," she said softly. "Or, you'll complain endlessly, which is entertaining in its own right." They ate in quiet conversation, Devon sharing stories from his time on H-17. Malfunctioning turbines, out-of-control drones, the quiet loneliness of empty corridors. Calais listened intently, occasionally offering questions or observations that made him feel heard, truly heard, for the first time in his life. After breakfast, she led him through a series of corridors toward the palace's inner chambers. Devon's senses were overwhelmed. Floating orbs of light hovered in alcoves, energy currents weaved through the walls like visible veins, and every surface reflected a sophistication that bordered on alien. He stopped mid-step at a particularly dazzling wall projection showing a spinning galaxy. "Is that real?" he asked, voice full of awe. Kalira's eyes sparkled. "It is a simulation, but yes, real data from our telescopes. I spend hours just observing them. Sometimes, it reminds me why we take such care in ruling a dominion that stretches across these stars." Her words carried weight. She wasn't just a queen in title. She was a ruler who understood the magnitude of responsibility. And yet, she had welcomed a stranger, a human mechanic, into her world. Devon felt a strange swell of pride, as if somehow, despite all odds, he had earned a place in this universe. Suddenly, alarms blared through the palace. Red lights flickered, and the hum of energy shifted into a low, urgent vibration. Devon froze, unsure of what to do. Kalira's demeanor changed instantly, alert and precise. Her fingers flew across a console, holographic panels springing to life with intricate data streams. "Pirate vessels," she muttered. "In the outer sector. Likely scouting." She turned to Devon, her expression a mixture of worry and determination. "This is routine, but you should stay here. It's not safe outside the palace." Devon's heart raced. Pirates. Outer sector. He hadn't imagined this kind of danger when boarding a shuttle for what he thought was a personal meeting. Stay put." "Got it," he said, though his curiosity burned. Calais nodded, then added, "You might be human, but in my world, humans are surprisingly resilient. Still, I'd rather not test that today." Despite her caution, Devon couldn't resist following her as she moved through hidden corridors and into a command chamber deep within the palace. The room was filled with consoles and holographic star maps. A dozen advisors were already present, analyzing readings and communicating in rapid, technical bursts. Devon felt completely out of his depth but tried to stay close, observing every detail. One of the advisors glanced at him, expression skeptical. "Your Majesty, the human," Keller cut him off, her voice sharp. "He is here at my discretion." Treat him with respect. The advisor nodded, though a flicker of doubt lingered. They watched as a holographic display showed sleek pirate ships moving in calculated formation toward one of the outer colonies. Devon blinked. Those ships, they're huge. And they're armed, right? Kalira's eyes narrowed. Yes. And they've been avoiding direct contact, until now. The question is why? She turned to Devon. You once asked me if humans could make a difference. This is one of those moments where the answer is, potentially. Devon's stomach tightened. Potentially, what? Potentially everything, she said, and for the first time, he saw the weight behind her crown. A ruler not only of a people but of an entire dominion, responsible for lives that spanned star systems. Hours passed in tense discussion, as advisors debated strategies, measured risks, and ran simulations. Devon listened, absorbing everything. Despite his lack of training, he found himself offering small suggestions based on logic and practicality, the kind of thinking the advisors had overlooked in favor of complex theories. Kalira noticed. She nodded at him subtly, a silent gesture of trust. Finally, a plan emerged. Devon would act as an intermediary, using his outsider perspective to communicate with the pirates in an attempt to negotiate. He stared at her in disbelief. You want me to talk to them? Kalira's expression was firm but not unkind. They don't expect a human mechanic to reason with them. That gives us an advantage. He swallowed. He had never faced pirates, never negotiated across a galaxy. Yet the thought of stepping into this moment alongside her, Kalira, the queen who had trusted him despite his human inexperience, filled him with a strange confidence. Okay, he said finally. I'll do it. Preparations took hours. Devon was briefed on communications protocols, safety measures, and emergency procedures. A small, sleek shuttle was prepared, designed for speed and stealth. As he boarded, Kalira clasped his hands, her long ears shifting slightly with anxiety. Come back safely, she whispered. I will, Devon promised. Though he didn't know how, he felt a determination he hadn't felt in years. Not for himself. For her. The journey to the outer sector was tense, the stars rushing past in streaks of silver and blue. When he arrived, the pirate vessels loomed large on his sensors. He activated the communication channel. This is Devon of Sara's moon. I come with a message from Queen Kalira. Silence. Then a voice, gruff and wary. Human? Why are you here? Devon swallowed, remembering all the months of their conversations, the trust Kalira had placed in him. Because you don't need to fight. You can choose a path that benefits everyone. There's no need for bloodshed. The pirate captain laughed, sharp and cutting. And why should we believe a human mechanic? Because, Devon said slowly, choosing his words, I am the first human who doesn't want your ships destroyed or your crew killed. I am here to talk. If you refuse, conflict is inevitable. If you listen, there's another way. Silence again. The pirates communicated in short bursts. Tension mounted, but Devon felt Kalira's presence in his mind, the months of shared words, her faith in him. He held on to it. Finally, a pause, then the pirate captain spoke. We will hear you. But one false move, human, and we won't hesitate. Devon nodded. Negotiations began. Hours of careful words, reasoning, and appeals to shared logic. Slowly, he saw cracks in the pirate resolve. By the time he returned to Sara's moon, the sun, or what counted as sun here, was dipping behind swirling clouds. Kalira waited on the terrace, anxiety etched on her face. Devon approached, exhausted but victorious. They agreed, he said simply. They'll stand down, for now. And, they're open to discussions about trade and alliances. Her eyes widened. Relief, pride, something deeper, emotion too complex to name, filled her gaze. She reached out, taking his hand. You did it, she whispered. Devon shook his head. We did it. You trusted me. The wind carried their words across the terrace. Below, the palace shimmered like a constellation anchored to the clouds. Above, the sky stretched endlessly, open and infinite. For the first time, Devon understood something fundamental. Humanity could make a difference, not just in isolated acts of survival, but in shaping destinies across galaxies. And Kalaire, the queen who had chosen him, had given him more than trust. She had given him purpose. Together, they stood, hands clasped, watching the clouds swirl below. The stars above Sara's moon were distant, cold, and infinite. But here, on this floating palace, amidst danger, politics, and the weight of entire civilizations, two people had met in the middle of the unknown and changed everything.